We'll just wait for 5 minutes, sir. The reason is my discipline. Because generally when the class is at 8, I never turn up at 8, right? Yeah. So there's still people to be joined. Let us give them a benefit of 5 minutes. I'll wait for 5 minutes, 5 more minutes. Yeah. Okay, sir. So let us get started. Right. Gopi, పైథాన్ కి స్పెషల్ గా క్లాస్ రూమ్ నోట్స్ యాడ్ చేయలేదు అనుకుంటా. ఉందా? చేశారా? డెవాప్స్ లోనే యాడ్ చేసేస్తున్నారా? ఓకే. 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 ఫైన్ దెన్. Right, sir. So let us get into our last classroom's discussion. Yeah. In the last class, what we have discussed is we have discussed about setting up Visual Studio Code for basic linting. Okay. And we have started discussing about data types in Python. And we have basically looked at only numeric, string, and Boolean. Okay. And now I've basically spoken about REPL. So when you execute Python, you will get a REPL, that is read, evaluate, print, and loop, so that you can evaluate expressions over here. And whenever you name anything in programming languages, we have some conventions. So there is a Pascal convention, there is a camel case convention, there is a snake case convention, and there is an uppercase convention. Okay, right. So we were defining variables and we were playing around with that to understand the type. And then we have tried to look at some of the numerical operators. Okay, so the focus was around arithmetic operators. Okay, so but the story doesn't stop there. We have assignment, comparison, logic, bitwise, okay, and special operators. We'll be continuing to use them. And I have asked you to, we have written some sample program on these operators, and I've asked you to calculate loan EMI, how to convert temperature from degree to Fahrenheit, number of seconds that were converted so far, kilograms to miles and kilograms to pounds. So did we do all of this? Any doubt in this? Do you want me to do anything? Did you solve this? Is there anything which you want me to solve there? Okay, good. Fine. So we will continue using the other operators also, assignment, Boolean, and all of that stuff when it comes to operators. Okay. So today what I would want to speak about is, first thing, let us try to speak on best practice. Okay. So again, if you remember, I said that PEP8 is a style guide. Remember? So how to write code in Python, what should be the naming conventions, we have PEP8. Okay. So Google's Python style guide is also used by many organizations. So you will be either using PEP8 or Google style docs. Okay. So Google style guide Python. Google has almost style guide for every language, but since we are focused on the stuff, this is what it is. Okay. So I'm just giving a reference to this. Here there is nothing to remember, but things to follow. Okay. So over here, one thing which I am interested in right now is comments and doc strings. Okay, right. Let's focus on comments and doc strings. Refer here for specific section of comments and doc strings. Okay, so generally whenever you are trying to write a doc string, Google tries to give you recommendations of how you should be documenting functions, how you should be documenting modules. Okay, so classes. Okay, if you are writing comments, how you should be writing comments. Okay, there is a guide for all of this. This guide is something which we need to implement. But the problem over here is every time coming to this document and basically doing that might not be that much sensible. So what I'll try to do is, let me quickly try to do one sample. CD, what was it? Instruction programs, and then let me open Visual Studio Code over here. And whenever you're trying to write code, because we will not be using Jupyter notebooks in reality, you will be writing code which looks like this. So here, let me try to tell that docstring underscore demonstration.py. Okay. So one thing which I can basically do is I can try referring, or I can write the guide and then go to the document and then according to that document manually change what I am trying to do. అనవసరంగా select చేసినట్టున్నా. Okay, right there. So now over here for that, to enable Google Doc strings in Visual Studio Code, let's install an extension called as auto doc string. Let me go over here and then let me type auto doc string. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So first go to extensions. Okay. From extensions to auto doc string and then install this. Linting, we have set it up in the last session itself, sir. Okay. That is where you got your blue tick. Okay. Now, if you try to look into it, whenever you try to write extensions, it will try to tell that. And then if you try to look into doc strings format, there is something called as Google format. There are many other formats. Okay. So what he's trying to set is we need to execute command shift palette. Okay. So whenever you want to generate a doc string, what you need to do is you just type triple quotes or single quotes. And if you want to use a keyboard shortcut, if in Windows it is Control Shift and 2. Okay. Or command is generate doc string, or right click and then execute generate doc string. And then over here, what I'll be trying to do is I'll be trying to install this. And then Control Shift P, auto. Okay, they have not given here. Let me go to the settings. Okay. Okay. Sorry, are you seeing auto docstring? The docstring format is by default Google. So I've gone into the settings and I've searched for Autodoc, and the Autodoc format that is selected as Google. So your company will be using either Google or any of the other standard formats which are basically part of this extension. So better install this. Okay. So probably if your company is using something else, it will be one of them. Am I clear on this, sir? So by default, it is Google, that is more than enough. Now let us assume that I have written this. I'll try to basically write generate docstring. So are you saying we are basically getting certain stuff? And here we are supposed to write summary of the class. So if you try to look into the summary of the discussion, okay. So where is that link? Okay. So this is what we should be basically trying to write. Okay. So something like this program demonstrates usage of docstrings. Okay. Anything else? Okay. And if there are any other use cases, you'll be trying to follow. This is your content, right? Yeah. Fine. Now let us assume that going down the line, I have written some function. I have not defined what a function is, but you will be learning that very soon. So define is even of number. So again, generate docstring. So here you are supposed to write a summary, something like this function checks if the number is even or not. And if you try to look into arguments, arguments will be of type integer, number to be checked. This is a bare minimum, sir. And now if you want, you can also try to write this. So returns. Okay. Does it make sense? Returns true if the number is even and false if the number is odd. And whenever you want to do that, you can also basically give one more stuff, which is raises is something which you'll understand. But if you want, you can give some examples. Okay. Now, if you try to write like this, what is an advantage? Why should I basically do that? After writing all of this code, your company might generate a documentation page. And when they generate a documentation page, this is used as a reference. Am I clear on this, sir? And one more thing which you can do is, if I try to write Python, okay, and let me try to write what is this file's name, docstring underscore ఇంత డెమాన్స్ట్రేషన్ వరకు ఎందుకు లేండి డెమో అని రాద్దాం ఓకే రైట్ సో don't worry about the syntaxes, we'll get into that. What was the function which I have written? Is even, right? Okay, now let me try to type help of is underscore even. Are you getting what we have written? Yeah. So for the person who is basically using the code which you have written, this documentation will be useful. And from that, what we can do is we can generate a whole code documentation in the format of HTML page or whatever page it is. So this is something which is mandatory in your organizational stuffs. Okay. So we better follow this from now on. I know that we have not defined what a function is. We have not defined what a class is, but still my recommendation would be around everyone is expected to do this. So now over here, you can try to write more description about this program. Are we clear on this, sir? So how does this make a difference? This is how enterprises maintain code. You go to any organization, they will not be trying to write int I, and then writing programs in one stuff. So this is what they would expect. So better you start learning in this format itself. Okay, so here you are defining intention of your program, and then you are writing documentation. Even if you write something wrong, there is no problem around it. And if you want, generally, if you're like me, where you type, and when you type, when you miss spellings and all that stuff, you can install spell checker. But I am not a big fan of spell checker because it, okay, so I can install any spell checker. So what these spell checkers do is, if you have written some names as wrong, it would try to raise the stuff. Okay, the choice is yours, sir. Yeah, sorry, saying he has written first value and it is trying to know that is the wrong stuff. It will try to show in this format. Okay, yeah, but I am not installing that. That would be useful going down the line. Okay, are we clear on this? Yes. So install this extension and use this extension to generate docstrings. And then you have to fill up this. Generate docstring doesn't mean that it will write documentation on your behalf. It will give you the basic structure and you have to fill in the values. Okay, right. So are we clear on this? Yeah, right. Now let us continue our discussion on operators. Okay, so let me go over here. We have looked at arithmetic operators. This is fine. And in Python, there are assignment operators also. Okay, so let us try to look at we might know most of them, but still. Assignment operators. Since I've given this link, I'll try to okay, and then as usual, let us try to have a list of this. That is for a quick reference. Okay, sir. But for that, I'll be using Jupyter notebooks. So over here, assignment.ipy nb. Okay. Assignment operators. The first one is straightforward, basic assignment. That is, remember 10 as A, remember 20 as B. If you are trying to basically doing anything like that, so I'll be basically trying to tell that principal okay is equals to 10,000. Okay, so name is equals to Python or something like that. Okay, and then E good. Obviously, there is no other option. You have to tell true. And let me tell run all. It will try to ask you select a Python kernel, and are you seeing that's it? This is the basic assignment operator. That is fine. There is no fun in this operator. We have been using that. Okay. Now let me try to basically write index is equals to 10. Now I'll try to write index is equals to index plus 1. Okay. Now if you try to look into what is the value of index, you will have 11. You can try to write print of index or just try to write index. Just writing the index will work out only in the case of Jupyter notebooks. So I would not recommend that. Since you are learning it newly, I'll still use this statement which is called as print of index. Okay. Now, are you seeing this part and this part is same? Index and index. Okay. So I can achieve the same thing by trying to write index plus equals to 1. So this is equivalent to index equals to index plus 1. Okay. Now, if I try to print index over here, it will try to become 2. So me writing index is equals to index minus 1 or minus 2. So, okay. And then index minus equals to 2. They are the same thing. So in the same way, you can apply for all of these operators. Okay. Plus equals to, minus equals to, star equals to, slash equals to, percentage equals to, power equals to. Okay. X is equals to 5. Now I want to have x square in 5. So x is x star star equals to 2. So for example, let me try doing that. Okay. Value is equals to 5. Now I'll try to tell that value star star equals to 2. That is equals to value is equals to value star star 2. Ante dini ardham enti? So it is, since hash starts with comments, this is equivalent to me writing value is equals to value star star 2. Sorry, getting 25? Yeah. So it is not necessary that you have to use this operator, but whenever you look at some of the codes and if you try to see that operator, there is nothing fancy around there. Okay. Fine, sir. And again, this is also straightforward. Okay. So let me try to rename operators. Okay. Now, comparison operators. I'm just giving this as an example. There is no need for us to really remember them. Just go through them because we'll be using them anyway. Okay. So you have equals to, not equals to, greater than, less than, greater than or equals to, and less than or equals to. Nothing fancy in here, right? Okay. So I'm just giving these references so that it is easier for you guys to quickly reiterate. But again, don't try to remember them. They come quite natural. Okay. And then comparison operators. Okay. Do I really need to write a sample around it? X is equals to 5, x double equal to 5, x is equals to 5 and y equals to, for example, if I try to write x is equals to 5, y equals to 6. And then if I try to write x greater than y, and then if I try to execute this, okay, 1 minute, run all. Are you seeing we are getting false? Comparison operators generally give boolean as written. Okay, now if I try to write x greater than or equals to y, this is also false. Okay. Now if I try to write x less than or equals to, this becomes, okay, I'm not doing anything more than that. I think that should be more than enough because for us to give it a try. And then logical operators. Okay. Okay. So what are logical operators? You will have and, or, and not. Okay. Right. So let us play around with this. Okay. And then Okay. Fine, sir. Now let us assume that I have written maths is equals to 90. Okay. Science is equals to 80. English is equals to 35. Let us assume that it is. And now I am trying to write maths greater than or equals to 80. So this is my first condition. And we know that for this, what we would get? We would get true. And science greater than or equals to 80. So what does this condition mean? I am asking, does the marks of maths and science both are equals to or greater than 80? Probably I want to write one more expression now. I'll be trying to write maths greater than 80 and science greater than or equals to 80. Okay, right. And then let me try to put this in parentheses, or English greater than or equals to 40. What does this mean? I'm trying to tell that the student should get both mathematics greater than or 80 and science greater than or 80, or he should be getting, okay, that means that either this or this. Okay, so when many of if this statement becomes true even if English is 45, but if I try to write the same statement by trying to tell and this will become false, because here I want everything to be satisfied. Okay, so generally whenever we are trying to build some complex expressions, you might play around these values. Okay, in the same way you have something called as not. Okay, so not is straightforward, not true becomes false. I mean that's the basic idea. You will be using something like not here. Okay, right. Bitwise operator తో మనకి పెద్ద పని ఉండదు కానీ, but still these are, I'm not even trying to do this, but here you can do binary operations. So 1 and 1 is 1, 1 or 0 is 1. So if you want to do some binary calculation, this will come into play. So I'm not interested. This is something which is fancy for people who are graduating, and you will do some programs around it. మనకి దీంతో పెద్దగా పని ఉండదు, until unless you are doing some binary arithmetic with Python. Okay, right. స్పెషల్ ఆపరేటర్స్ ఇప్పుడే వద్దు, మెంబర్షిప్ మనకి ఇంకా అవసరం లేదు. We'll come back to this. And precedence is something which I've spoken about, if you remember. That is the most important thing, because if you don't understand precedence, then things are messed up. So are you saying or and not also there is a precedent? Okay, so for example, if I try to write true or false and true. Okay, so for example, what is that? True or false and true. So in this, out of this, what will be evaluated first? And is on the top. Whatever is on the bottom will be evaluated last. So first it will try to false and true. So this expression is equivalent to you trying to write true or false, and true will become false. Okay, true or false, any one of them is true, so it is basically giving you. Okay, so for example, if I try to write the same expression like not true or false, out of these three things, which is the highest precedence? Not. So this not true will be converted into false first, and then we have or and end. So end will be evaluated later, and then comes the, that is the basic stuff. And if you put parentheses, you are increasing the precedence of it. Okay, so for example, I can try to basically put, if I try to write this, first whatever is in the square brackets will be executed, and then end will be applied. Okay, so easiest way is, whenever you think that you are having some conditions, use parentheses, so that gets up, that you are increasing the priority of it. Okay, right, sir. Good then. So this is fine. Okay. So are we clear on this docstring part and are we clear on this basic operators? Yes. Okay. Right then. So now what we will try to do is let us try to solve some of the stuff. Okay. So now if you remember going back to the days of Flora, yeah, I'll try to take one problem and from that problem we will derive some of the things which we need to understand. Okay. Let me go to Project Euler's problem 1. Yes. If you remember, do we understand the solution of this problem? All right. If you list all the numbers from 1 to 10. So in this, I'll be writing some code, but you focus only on the conditional part or the expression part which I'm trying to build. Then I'll try to speak about the loops. So ప్రస్తుతానికి మీ focus ఏంటి program మొత్తం కాదు నేను రాసే expression. Okay. So let me basically go over here and let us try to basically solve this. Okay, sir. What does he want? If you list all the numbers below 10. Okay, right. So I'll be trying to tell for index and range of 1 to 10. Okay, you need not worry about the for loop here. For we have not learned. What is the condition? If the number is multiple of 3 or 5. Okay, so to make it little bit more stuff, rather than let me try to rename this as number. Okay, now number, if it is multiple of 3, do you agree that this is the expression? Yeah, right. Okay, fine. And what is the next expression which it is trying to tell? Or multiple of 5. Yes. Okay, let me basically take this as an expression, go back to REPL and paste this. Okay, let me try to tell number is equals to 1 and let me try to write this expression. So 1 is neither divisible by 2, 3 nor divisible by 5. Now let me try to write number is equals to 2 and let me evaluate this expression. Again it is false. Now if I try to take 3, okay, that is number is equals to 3. Now number is divisible by 3. Yes. So that becomes true. And after that it evaluates this part which becomes false. True or false is true. Does it make sense? Yeah. So now when I try to write an expression, something like, don't worry about rest of the things. As I'm trying to tell, I'm worried only about this, the conditional expression which I have written over here. So okay. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go from 1 to 9 here. So for each number, I'm trying to evaluate this expression. And if this expression matches, I'm adding to the number. So did I got 23? Is that what it is trying to tell? Okay. Now all I have to do is replace this 10 with 1000 to solve this problem. Are we clear on this? Does it make sense? Yeah. Right. So fine. Fibonacci lo the conditions levu. I'm just looking at that numerical expression. Prime factors also we don't have any conditionals. Okay. Palindrome also we don't have any conditionals. నాకు ఆపరేటర్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయో చూస్తున్నాను. So what is the smallest possible? Evenly divisible is straightforward minutes. Fine, leave it. Okay. Right. So can we build up some expressions now? Yes. And then we have to look at precedence table. Initially get used to the precedence table, because sometimes when you try to write the expression, it might not be giving you the wrong result, even though your expression looks to be right. That means that you have messed up with precedence. Okay, right. Fine, sir. So now the first part which I want to basically speak about is conditional statements in Python. So what do I mean by conditional statement? Normally your code executes line by line, but this is a special line which you want to execute on the basis of some condition. On the basis of some condition. Are you clear on this, sir? So for example, I want to print. Okay. So let me not try to make it more complicated, or let me tell that I'll take the input from the user. Okay. And if the input from the user is even, I will try to tell even, otherwise I'll not do anything. Otherwise I'll not say anything. If this is something which I want to achieve. Okay. Right. Normally, what is it I should do? Something like take input. Okay. And then print even. Is this right? Then I'll be taking all the inputs and I'll always be printing even. Now check if even and print even. Now in this, when I give an input of odd number, the second line will not be entertained because the input is not even. So for that, if you remember, we used to write statements like 1, 2, and then we used to call this as 2.1. Am I clear on this, sir? Yes. Okay, good. So when I want to write these kind of things in Python, what are the things which I need to know? First is I need to learn how to write conditional statements. And the second thing which we need to understand is something called as spacing in Python. This is something which is different when it comes to other languages. For the people who come from the background of C, Java and all of that stuff, this is slightly different over there. Okay, but again, let us go back to the nationality of the person who has written this programming language. Dutch. Okay, these guys are very good. Initially it looks boring, but actually it is where this is the reason why Python looks so convincing. Okay, so what he says is, whenever you try to look at Python code, it should be clean. Okay, right. Beautiful is better than ugly. Flat is better than nested. If you try to look at, these are Python's guiding principles. So what he has said is, whenever you're trying to write code, okay, whatever these 2.1 statements are, so the statements which have to be executed as part of some line. Okay, it could be one statement or it could be sequence of statements. So over here I'll try to define a term called as, in Python we would come across lines and blocks. Blocks is nothing but sequence of lines. Okay, so Python has a very strict spacing rule. Okay, right. So if I try to go over here, Python spacing. Okay, I'll not go over here. Anything, yeah. Ideally, that is called as indentation. This is not an article. Okay. మనకు కావాల్సినట్టు ఎవడు ఇండెంటేషన్ Python. Okay, this is fine. Okay, right. So the basic idea of indentation is whenever you are trying to write a Python code, the place where you start or the position where you start the line makes a difference. So I'm saying, let us assume that this is line number 1. Or let me basically copy this over here somewhere. Okay. Or even if you try to look at it, okay, దీని తర్వాత రాద్దాం. Are you seeing line number 17? So line number 17 and line number 55 and line number 6 start at the same position. So they are at equal levels. They are at equal levels. And now if you try to look at this 14th line, it starts after giving some spaces. Generally, in most of the Python editors, we give 4 spaces. Okay. So from one line, when you want to execute something which is a child of it, we will be trying to give 4 spaces. So whenever you try to write a Python code where you are defining functions, classes, if conditions, you don't try to write them in a sequential order. You basically follow this spacing. The idea of spacing is something which you'll learn anyway. Even if you don't learn, Python code will not execute. Okay. But what Python speaks about is how many spaces should I give? Okay. How many spaces should I give? So Python space, give any number of spaces, but throughout the code be consistent. If you want to give, you can give 3 spaces or 5 spaces or 2 spaces or 7 spaces. But throughout the file, follow the same convention. But throughout the world, 4 spacing is the most popular. Okay. మీరు 4 స్పేస్లు ఇవ్వాలని రూల్ పైథాన్ లేదు. ఎన్నన్నా ఇచ్చుకోండి స్పేస్లు, కాకపోతే ఫైల్ మొత్తం అదే ఫాలో అవ్వండి. Okay. Generally throughout the world, people follow 4 spacing rule. Okay. So now let us go to this. What is advantage of Python spacing or indentation? The first thing that comes out of it is readability. Your code will become extremely readable. Let me try to show you some code. Okay. Okay, Ansible is one of the tool, but let me try to open some the world.py. Are you seeing the code looks consistent? It might be lot of lines, but are you seeing there is some particular pattern to it? You take any other language apart from this. Okay, try to take the code. Okay, let me open that also. This is C language. Here readability is not part of the language. It is up to the intelligence of the developer who is writing it. మీకు నచ్చినట్టు రాసుకోవచ్చు. Okay, but programming language will never complain whether you put the curly braces over here or here. If you try to put this line over here or in the next line, but Python will be asking you to follow some spacing. Okay, so you can compare this with anything which you have written. Python mandates you to be clean. You have to write the code like this only. Are you clear on this, sir? That is the reason why we have spacing. And then for the spacing, if you try to see, he has given some of the stuffs. Okay, right. Now he is trying to that the first line should not start with spaces. It should always start at the stuff. And there are some rules and what are the benefits and what are the disadvantages. I am not going to give anything around it. You Google it out, find any article that makes sense to you. But Python will start complaining when you do something wrong. So let me try to show you that. Indentation.py. I'll be removing this file, but let us assume that I am trying to write a function for something. Define is prime of number. Okay, okay, right. This is style guide, and we all know that what style guide is basically trying to speak about. And then what is it trying to tell? Missing doc string for a module. Okay. మనకు వచ్చింది చేసాం. Okay, and last, if you try to look into it, it says that leave the empty line. So I fixed all the blue things. Now what I'll do is, by mistake, if I start this line over here, మొత్తం ఎర్రగాంతనే, because Python doesn't allow you to be unclean. You have to follow the structure. Okay, so what I've done is, program wise everything is correct, but the only thing that is wrong for me is, if I have to start over here, but by mistake I have started at some other position. So for Python, this is a syntax error. Okay, now దీంట్లో పెద్ద గొప్ప ఏముంది అని మీకు అనిపించవచ్చు. ఓకే సార్, ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి. సో లెట్ మీ ట్రై టు క్రియేట్ a new file, and then let me try to call it as test.java. So public class test and public, what was the function which you were trying to write over here? Prime, yeah, boolean is prime of int number. So this is also not a syntax error. మీకు నచ్చినట్టు రాసుకోండి, మొత్తం కోడ్ ఒకే లైన్లో రాసుకోండి. Java or C or C++ or C# will never complain that your code is wrong, because you have written all the elements. Okay, so whether you put your if here, whether you put it here, these are all not syntactical mistakes. But in Python it is, because you are supposed to follow the exact spacing. So initially when you start, it's chadatalaga anipitadu, but on the long run you will find your code to be clean. Am I clear on this, sir? That is the only advantage of spacing, because Python allows forces you to follow some spacing. Okay, and 4 space is not mandatory. 4 space is a convention. Many people follow 4 spaces. Are you clear on the indentation problem, sir? Yeah. So you take Java, JavaScript, .NET, any other language, it never mandates you on making your code follow some structure. Okay, right. And now let me try to remove these 2 things. Are we clear on this, sir? So whenever we are trying to write them blocks, this comes into play. Now let me try to look at conditionals in Python. So again, as I'm trying to tell you, you can use anything. Ideally, I like this. I like real Python, but I will be either giving you the reference of real Python or Programmers. Okay, fine, sir. So this takes you a little bit of more time to basically read, but this will be a little bit more organized. Okay, but if you try to take various Programmers, later Programmers, okay, fine. If I take something like W3 schools and all that stuff, it is little bit more easier initially to have a look at it. Okay, right. So you use whatever it is. Okay, for me it doesn't matter. Yeah, నేను ఈసారి W3 schools వద్దులేండి. Right, I'll try to still speak about this. Refer here for docs. Okay, let us not try to understand all the elements of it, but let us quickly walk it through. So if you try to look into if, the basic things which we have is, we have if, else if. Okay, right, these are all different conditions. Okay, that's it. Yeah, right, but we can make this a little bit more complicated, but fine. If you try to look into conditional statements possibilities, you can try to write if. You can go with something like if, else if, and then if, elif, and else, and then you can try to write nested if statements. Nested ante if lo inko if. That is basically what I mean by nested. Okay. Let us try solving one of the problems, sir. So let me go to hacker rank, and there is one interesting math in hacker rank. So next challenge. Okay, sir. Fine. Let me try to look into this problem. Okay. So this is to understand this if else if. Let me try to take hacker ranks problem. So what is the problem which he is trying to tell? He will be giving you an integer, and then you have to perform the following conditional operation. If the number is odd, you have to print, and then if it is even, okay. ఇందులో 2 5 వస్తలేదా? అలాంటప్పుడు స్క్రీన్ షాటే పెడదాం. Okay, sir. If the number is odd, he's asking us to print. Yeah. If you get the number which is even and it is in the range of 2 to 5, what is that we are supposed to print? Not weird. If the number is even but still it is in the range of 6 to 20, then we are supposed to print weird. And if n is greater than 20, and then we are supposed to print. Okay, so దీని వల్ల ఏంటి ఉపయోగం ఏమీ లేదు మనకి అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి. There is no usage of all of this, but let us assume that you have been asked to write this. Okay, the first thing is, okay, let me also remember we have spoken about some useful functions. So we have functions over here. Again, functions are reusable blocks which we will be trying to use it. We have already spoken about a function which is called as print. Yes, and now I am trying to print and type. Now I am trying to speak about a function which is called as input function. So the way input function works is input function, okay, మన చేయొచ్చు help of input. If you try to look into it, input function will take a prompt. Okay, that means that you can try to write input of enter anything. Okay, and after that you can pass a value. I want to enter 90. Okay, so now whatever value which you have entered, you can store it in a variable. So let me tell that. Okay, user input is equals to input of enter anything. Okay, fine, enter anything. I'll try to enter 12. So what is type of user underscore input? You might think that it is a number, but input will always return a string. Input will always return a string. Whether you pass boolean there, whether you pass anything over there, it will always return string. This is what the input function does. To make it look little bit better, so what I can do is enter anything, and after that give some spaces. Now you say enter anything. So I am trying to tell that 120. Okay, now if you try to print what is user input, you will get 120, but in the format of string. Okay, now what you can do is you can do basically conversions. Okay, that is what he would be trying to do. He'll be trying to do int of input. That means that he is converting that into a number. Okay, fine, but let us try solving this problem. Okay, fine, but that problem I'll try to solve over here, or shall I do it in Jupyter Notebook itself? Okay, let me do it over here. Hacker rank underscore conditions dot py. Okay, first కొంత పార్ట్ వరకు సిగ్గు లేకుండా కాపీ చేసుకుంటా. Okay, because this is something that hacker rank gives to you. Okay, now if you try to look into this, you have to write the code over here. Now if you try to execute n, what is this n? In this n you have a value. User will be entering the input, and then you get the value, and that value will be in the format of integer. Alladhi panjaddalo adi chuddam first. Always you can copy any expression over here. Okay, it is asking me to give input. So let me give 1102. So let me try to print n, and let me try to print type of. Are we getting integer? Because they have converted string into integer. Okay. Now over here I got n. Now what is the condition? Let me do one thing, sir. Let me disable this AI because నేను చేయాల్సిన పని కూడా అదే చేసేలా ఉంది. Okay. Now let us look at this statement. So first thing is it is trying to tell us if n is odd, print weird. So here we have two conditions, whether n is odd or even. So I'll be trying to tell that if n percentage 2 is equals to 0, this is even. Okay. And then if you want, you can write something like if is even, n percentage 2 is equals to 0, and then let me try to put this in parentheses. Now do you agree that in is even I'll have whether it is even or odd? So what is the first statement he is trying to tell that? If it is odd, okay. Now I will try to tell that if not, okay, is even. Not is even ante odd ena? Okay, right. So the first conditional expression which comes into over here is if. Okay. So generally whenever I am not trying to write the syntaxes, but okay, let me try to write a syntax. The way it works out is if, and then you would try to write expression. And then if this expression is true, whatever you have written in this block can be one line or multiple lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 will execute. Okay. ఇక్కడ రాసిన expression true అవుతే ఈ block లో ఏముందో అది execute అవుతుంది. So if the expression is true, then whatever is written in that block will be executed. So I'm basically trying that if n is not even, that means it is odd. So I'm trying to tell that print of what is that he wants me to print? Not weird. అది వీడి దగ్గర నుండి తీసుకొని కాపీ చేసేది. Print అయిపోయిందా? Right. Now let us try to look at the next condition. So then it is trying to tell if n is even. Okay. So now I can try to write something like if is underscore even. Don't worry, we'll be debugging this program, and then we'll be trying to improving this program also. Okay. If it is even, okay, then what is it trying to tell? Is trying to tell that if the value is in the range of 2 to 5. Okay. Now this is where I have to check. How can I check if the number is between 2 or 5? N is equals to nenu 3 ichanu. I have to check whether n is in between 2 or 5. What should I do? I have to write something like if n is greater than or equals to 2 and n is less than or equals to 5. Antena? Now I am getting. So I can also try doing this. In Python, it allows you to write this kind of stuff. Okay. So there is nothing wrong with doing this, but this is something which people from Java, .NET, C background try to do. In Python, you can use this. మీకు ఏది నచ్చితే అది వాడుకోండి. For me, it doesn't matter as long as the code is working. Okay. So here I'll be trying to tell that if it is even, then it will come over here. So for me, let me try to tell that print. Okay. Need to work on this. Okay. Right. Now let me put a breakpoint over here. Let me go over here and then Python debug. This is the most important thing, sir. Once you understand debugging the code, and if you try to execute any code, you will be able to make out the values. So then I need to execute this line. I can click over here, I can go over here, and then step over is equivalent to what key? F10. So I am using F10 key. So it is asking what is the input. Okay, let me enter the input and let me try to give a value which is 4. So what is the 4? It is an even number. So then, is even line on the true na? Right. So then we have basically checked into this part. Okay. So do you want me to reshow the execution? Okay. Unnecessary parentheses after. That is an advantage of using this linting. Okay. Let me debug this again. Be very, have a look at this. This is a very important step. Meeku code అర్థమైపోతే ఇది ఒక్కటే మీకు help చేయగలదు. So whenever you don't understand any code, this is something which can help you out. Now I've written some code and I've said that this will execute on the basis of numbers. You have to give the input as a number. So I've done that. So here it is asking input. So I need to go over here and type some value, and they have given a even value. 6 is a even number, right? Yeah. So then I have given 6 and let us see what happens. Just look at the execution. Line number 9, did it execute? Execute ayinda avleda? Adi execute ayindi kabatte number ochindi manaki. Now it is trying to execute line number 10. So if you try to see line number 10, that is where we got is even and we had a value called as true. Now what is the line number which it is executing? 11. And then it comes to 13. Okay. And then since it is an even number, it gets into the stuff. Here it was not an even number, so it has skipped the line number 12. Are we clear on this? This condition true at 11 lo unna condition true at 12 lo keltundi. 13 lo unna condition true kabatti 14 lo kelindi. So 11 में जो condition है वो true नहीं है, इसीलिए वो 12 ने execute किया, और 13 में जो condition है वो true था, इसीलिए 14 execute हो रहा है. Am I clear on this? Okay. Now let me debug this program again and let me try to give the input of odd number this time. So line number 9 executed, and then here I have to give the input, and let me try to give 7. And we all know that 7 is a odd number. So if you try to see is even is false. And now it is trying to check that if it is an odd number. Yes, it is an odd number. It has printed, it has executed 11, 12, and then it is coming to 13. Now you tell me, do I really need to execute the line number 13? అవసరం ఉందా? Because the condition is revolving around it, whether it is even or odd. So over here, I can simply try to write else. Else basically means that we have two conditionals, binary conditions, either true or false. If it is true, go over here. If it is false, come over. Am I clear on this? Okay. So shall I re-execute now? Yeah. But whatever I have done might be correct or might not be correct. So probably for this code, still elif might be required. We doesn't know. Okay. Right. So let me try to give an input. And let me try to give input again an odd number. I have given 5 as an input. So it is trying to check 5. 5, is it an even number? No. And then done. If you try to see, we have saved one line of execution. Ante advantage. Are we clear on this, sir? Yes. Let us come back to this. So again, okay, even out enti malli, if it is in the range of, okay. So even out ikkadiki vattadi kada. If it comes over here, if it is a even, okay. So the way to tell over there is in Python, you will see something called as pass. Pass basically means that I have not written the code over here. This is a temporary block. I'll be working on it. That means pass is equivalent to empty code. Okay. If you don't write pass, it will be a syntax issue. Else should have something. So if you try to write a pass, it is trying to tell that this will not do anything. But here you are going to write the code. You will see some of the times I might be using this pass statement. Okay. Now what is the first condition over here? Here any condition unnai malli? N is in the range of 2 to 5 and then 60 20 and then, so total how many conditions are we speaking about? 3 conditions. So if it was 2 conditions, I would have used if and else. So now I will be trying to write if 2 less than or equals to n less than or equals to 5. Antena? If n is even and if it is in the range of 2 to 5, then what is it we are supposed to print? I am putting a colon over here. I go to the next line 4 spaces and then print not weirdo. Okay. Now I have a second condition and I have a third condition. So for second condition, I'll be using elif. Elif means else if. Okay, it was not this. Now I'm going to check the second condition. And what is the second condition? Between the range of 6 and 20. So 6 less than or equals to n less than or equals to 20. So what is he asking us to do? Print weird. And then finally, if n is greater than 20. So I can tell that else. Okay, or I can write elif also. There is nothing wrong. If you want to be specific, you can write that well elif n is greater than or equals to 20. Not equals to, greater than. Because if you try to see, if it is greater than 20, not equals to. Yeah. So there is nothing wrong in using this. Okay. Or since these are the only 3 possibilities, you can replace this simply with Sarondu kaboti. If it is not any of them, it is. Are you clear on this, sir? So are we clear on this program? So shall I debug this again? Yeah. Right. Let me debug this program. Okay. Sir, don't worry about the things which are not under our control. I have not spoken about what strip is. Okay. ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్తున్నంతా మానేసి మీ ఫోకస్ స్ట్రిప్ మీదకి వెళ్తుందంటే that is something wrong. So focus on what is important. Our focus is conditional statement over here. Okay. Right. So am I clear on that, Nikhil? Please focus on what is necessary because that was a copied code from HackerRank. That was not something which I have written. Please. Okay. Right. So let me try to give an even number. And let me try to give an even number which is around 6 to 20. So let me try to give something like 8 here. Okay. Now, is it even? Yes. So it will come over here. Is it between 2 and 5? No. Is it between 6 and 20? So it has printed. Ivana? Right. Now let me debug this code again. So now here let me try to give a value which is greater than 20 and still a even number. 26. Enter. Okay. Is it even? Is it an even number? Yes, it is an even number. Okay, so it goes over here. Is it between 2 and 5? No. Is it between 6 and 20? No. Since it comes here and it prints a. You start doing debugging the code, you will understand the. Okay. And there is only one last thing which I have to solve over here. Okay. If you try to look into this program generally, what is the constraint which they have said? N will be always between 1 and 100. If you give anything other than 100, ante 1 kanna takku ichina ee program panchedu, 100 kanna ekku ichina ee program panchedu. So for example, this program will not be giving right values in between them. So generally it is a good idea to do this. Okay. If, okay, right, is valid input. What is a valid input now? If the value of n is between Antena 100 100 can, okay, right. This is a valid stuff. Do you agree with me on this? So if not is valid. And ichina value tappu. So it is not lying between 1 and 100. Then what is he trying to tell? Is simply trying to write exit. Emi cheyaddu. Because your code is not going to work in that case. Okay, right. Seems to have no effect. Okay, right. Let me try to give an input. That is something which we have done, which is called as input validation. So we ensure that input is around our boundaries. So for example, me రూపాయల వడ్డీ లెక్క ఎత్తినప్పుడు -1000 అన్నాడు అనుకుని ఎవడన్నా -1000కి అర్థం లేదు కదా. So 1000 rupees has a value, $1000 has a value. What is -1000? So you should not allow the user to give the inputs which are not reasonable. Okay, let us try to give. And now let me try to give an input which is 1001 or 10,001. Okay. So ideally I should not be even calculating is even. First I should be calculating for validity of the program. Okay, if not is valid, exit. Okay. Here exit doesn't make sense because we are writing a program, we should be returning this. Okay. Exit of 1. Okay. Exit of anything other than 0 means there is something wrong. Okay, right. And let me try to give -200. Okay, are you saying it is trying to an error? Exit of 1 means there is something with wrong. Exit of 0 means successful execution. So even though it is showing error, I'm okay with that. But ideally I will be checking if the program is even or odd only in the cases of if it is valid. Does it make sense, sir? Asal invalid అయితే అది మాత్రం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయటం ఎందుకు? So what is our code now? Checking if the input is valid. Why? Because in this program they have given me the constraint saying that the value of n will be, yeah, right. So now if the number is valid, then I'll be trying to write my logic, and then finally we need to do this. మనకి ఈ చెత్త అంతటితో పని లేదు. ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ని జనరేట్ డాక్ స్ట్రింగ్. Okay, this program is solution for what is that hacker rank problem. ఏంటిది ఈ ప్రాబ్లం పేరు ఏంటి? weird or not. Okay, hacker rank a problem of, okay, since we said that we will be following better practices, I want to do this. Okay, right. అసలు ఈ వ్యాలిడ్ ఇన్వాలిడ్ ఇవన్నీ నేను చేయదలుచుకోలేదంటే ఇఫ్ వ్యాలిడ్ అవుతేనే ఈ కోడ్ రన్ చేయండి, ఇన్వాలిడ్ అయితే ఏమి చేయదు. ఓకే, I can also try to write something like if it is valid only then enter into my stuff, but that's okay. There are many ways of doing it. Okay, this is like a diversion board. So you have entered invalid, get out. That is what we are trying to do. Are we clear on this, sir? And these programs make sense only when you debug. చూస్తుంటే దీని అంత అందంగా ఏమనిపించదు, ఇందులో ఏముందనిపిస్తుంది. But don't try to take my code and then run it. I would recommend you write it. If you are unable to write it, then refer this stuff. Okay, right. Git add okay, sir. అబ్బా అదే ప్రాబ్లమ్. రైట్, సామాన్ right. I'm basically giving you this. Refer here for solution. Now, a way to solve, check whether the solution works or not is copy this program, get into HackerRank. Okay, మొత్తం అంతా వదిలేండి, మనం ఇక్కడ నుండి తీసుకుందాం. Okay, what is that if name is equals to main? I'll try to speak about it. మనకి ఇంకా అన్ని తెలివితేటలు రాలేదు, అందుకని అది వాడలేదు. Ideally you should be using that. Okay, మన ఏదో రాంగ్ ఆన్సర్ వస్తుంది. Okay, so if you want to basically, ideally the answer will be fixed when I make that small change, but that's okay. Now if you want to understand what is happening, there is some compiler message which is wrong. I know what that wrong is. Code ఎక్కడ ఏడిచింది? Yeah. Okay, వాళ్ళు రాసిన కోడ్లోకి వెళ్ళాం మనం, అందుకనే రాంగ్లు వస్తున్నాయి. ఓకే, ఓకే, వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చింది ఇది. I have to take the program on top of it. That's the reason why it is not working, but fine. Okay, we'll be learning this very soon. Okay, fine. Okay, and conditionally, are we correct? Odd, it should always print. Weird, are we doing that in our program? Yeah. అదే తప్పు. Yeah, this is a mistake. Okay, 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 and after that, that is not enough. You have to click on submit code. Okay, I know the two answers why they are not coming. That is because I have not followed their structure. Once I follow this structure, understand what the stuff is, you will try to get it. But generally what it does is, if you want to understand what was this value which they have passed and why is your code failing over here, you have to click on unlock. And to click on unlock, you should have solved some problems. Okay, ఇప్పుడు నేను అన్లాక్ ఇచ్చాను అనుకోండి, ఇప్పుడు 18 ఏమవుతుంది? weird అవుతుంది. So that should not be the case according to them. So అది అలా వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎందుకు వస్తుంది అన్నది మనం చూస్తే సరిపోతుంది. Okay, right? So but that is fine. Our program is not completely correct. What is the reason? How can I fix that? Okay, so why is 18 not working? Let us debug that case now. Okay, let me try to debug. And then pass 18. Yeah, it is valid, it is even, it is this. Okay, so it is printing weird only. So మనం weird అంటున్నాం, మరి ఆడికి weird అని ఎందుకు రాలేదు? Okay, so the problem is we have to follow their programming structure. Okay, ఈ weird కి weird spelling తప్పు మనం ఇక్కడ రాసింది అది. Okay, now it works. Submit code, ఇలాంటి చాలా ఉంటాయి. Okay, fine, that's it. Okay, right, sir, I'm not worried about solving this problem, but did you understood what it is? You have to debug, you have to ensure that you do it right, and for you to unlock these problems, you need to have some scores. That means that you should have solved some problems. Okay, you do this activity, everyone will make mistakes and will learn from here. Are you clear on this? Yeah, we'll take a 5 minutes break, we'll come back, and then we'll start looking at we'll start understanding from the same code which you have written. We have written nested if statements. Okay, so what is nested if? Inside if block, if you have another if block, or inside else block if you have a if block, that is something which we call as nested. అలాంటిది ఏమైనా ఉందా మన కోడ్ లో? ఎల్స్ లో మళ్ళీ if ఉంది చూడండి. This is something which I basically try to write, or this is something which I'm calling as nested. Yeah, okay, fine. First let us go out for a break. Right, this is my first class in Python. Good, go through previous videos. Right. Okay, sir. So do we understand this conditional statement and why I'm going 4 spaces after that? Yes. So anything inside this if loop will start origin. So if and else are at same level, so they are starting at the same character position. And whenever you try to miss anything, you will get errors. So this takes a little bit of time if you are starting newly. Okay, right. Madam, apart from VMware Fusion, there is no other alternative, madam. Yeah, right. You asked me for a free alternative, I suggested one. Yeah, right. Okay. Now this was conditionals. Okay. And what was the other thing? Generally, when we were speaking with Flora, we had two kinds of needs. One was we were trying to skip some lines. For that, we have used conditionals. The second case was where we were trying to use the same line multiple times with different values. That is something which we call as looping statements in Python. Okay. So again, you can use any one of this. So this is Microsoft, Python's own documentation. You can use anything which you like. For me, it doesn't matter. So yeah, let me basically try to speak about while loop. So right now we'll be speaking only with while. I'll not be speaking about for at this moment, because before speaking about for, we need to basically speak about a sequence. And we have not spoken about sequence yet. Okay, right. So while is straightforward. So the way while works is, again, while you will have expression, and this expression is a conditional expression. An expression is considered to be conditional when it returns true or false. మీరు ఏదన్నా ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ రాసి దాని పాసిబిలిటీస్ ట్రూ ఆర్ ఫాల్స్ ఉంటే దాన్ని కండిషనల్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ అంటాం. ఇన్సైడ్ ద ఇఫ్ ఆల్సో విల్ బి ట్రైయింగ్ టు రైట్ అ conditional expression. Okay, so while conditional expression, and then we would be trying to write block. Okay, now let me go to Jupyter notebooks, and then let me try to write, or sorry, while. Okay, ఇది నేను లింక్ ఇవ్వలేదు కదా. 1 minute, sir. Okay, Python August notebooks. This is not required straightforward, but still, why to refer here for notebook. Okay, now let me try to write a while stuff. Okay, let us try to solve certain things around this while also. Right, change this while. Okay, so syntax is anyway on the notes. So first thing which we'll try to write is, let us print numbers from 1 to 100. So this is what I want. So one way of solving this problem is, just try writing this 1 to 100 వద్దులండి, 1 to 10 రాద్దాం. 100 వరకు నా వల్ల అవ్వదు. Print of 1, print of 2, print of 3, 4, 5, 10 వరకు కూడా వద్దులేండి. Okay, fine. But if you try to see this stuff, we have basically copied the same line with a different value. First time it had a value of 1, second time it had a value of 2, 3 and all that stuff. Why should I repeat my lines? So this is where looping comes into play. So here I'll be trying to write index is equals to 1. And then I'll be trying to tell that while index is less than or equals to 5. And then rather than printing this, I'll be trying to tell print of index. And now if I try to run, I'll try to get the hyphen. This is called as infinite loop because this loop never ends. Why? Because first value was index. I said that 1 is less than or equals to 5. Print 1. And is the value of 1 changing? No. Next time it will come here. Again, what is the value? 1. This will continue forever. Okay. So let me try to write index plus equals to 1. Is it better? Yeah. Now let us try to debug this program for quicker understanding. So I put index is equals to 1. So do we have 1 here? Now index is less than or equals to 5. Is that condition true? Yes. The condition is true and it has printed index. Now index becomes 2. So 2 is less than or equals to 5. So again it continues. So it prints 2. Index becomes 3. 3 is 3 less than or equals to 5? True. So it will be here. Okay. It prints 4. Okay, it prints 3. And now it becomes 4. Is 4 less than or equals to 5? True. So it comes here, it prints 4. And then index becomes 5. Is 5 less than or equals to 5? Yes. Okay. There is equals to symbol, right? Yeah. So now index has become 6. Is 6 less than or equals to 5? No. So it comes out. Our condition satisfied loop lo tiruguta. As long as that condition satisfied, it prints, it will be staying inside the loop. Okay. So are we clear on this, sir? So rather than writing these kind of statements, this is considered to be better because you are trying to reuse your code rather than copying and pasting different same statements. Are we clear on this first one? Yes. Okay, sir. Now, ఈ చిన్న చిన్న ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఎందుకు చేసేది ఏదో మంచిదే చేద్దాం. Okay. Let us try to calculate factorial of a number. Okay. So what is the factorial of a number, sir? So for example, if I try to tell 5 factorial, it is equivalent to 5 into 4 into 3 into Antara? Yes. So n factorial is equals to n into n minus 1 into till it becomes 1. Okay. Right. So now first let me try to take a number as an input. Number is equals to input of enter your number, and after that I am trying to give a space. But the problem is this value will be in a string format. I want a number. I will be converting this into a string by trying to just write. If I want to float, I'll be trying to write float of. Am I clear on this, sir? This is taking a string and converting that into integer. This is called as typecasting, converting from one type to other type. Okay. Now, generally, I should have a factorial. So that is something which I am calling as a result. So in result, should I take 0 or 1? ఏం తీసుకుందాం? I am doing multiplication, sir. Okay. If I am doing additions, so 0 plus something is equals to something. 0 into something is equals to 0. 1 into something is equals to something. Yes or no? Since I am doing multiplication over here, I'll start from 1. Okay. And then I'll try to tell that while. Okay. I need to have some kind of index also. So let me tell that index is equals to 1. So while index is less than or equals to 5, because 5 factorial has 5 in it. That's the reason I'm using equals to. Okay. So I'll be trying to tell that result equals to result into index. నేను దీన్నే result star equals to index అని కూడా రాయొచ్చుగా. Yes. So the same expression I could have, I can write in this way. But if you want, you can write result equal to result into index. There is nothing wrong in that. Okay. And then what is that I need to do? Index plus equals to 1. So 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into whatever that number. Since this number is 5, it stops at 5. And then finally, print of result. So then it is asking what is your number. Let me try to print 5. Am I getting 120? So if you try to look into 5 factorial, it is 120. So let me try to do 6 factorial. Run this program again. 6, 120. So shall we debug this? Yeah. So whenever you are debugging, have a breakpoint over here. Debug this. Okay. Now let me execute this. It is asking what is your number. Let me try to give 4. Okay. So result is equals to 1. Index is equals to 1. Okay. ఇది ఎలా పని చేసిందండి అసలు ఇది? మన ప్రోగ్రామ్ పని అవుద్దా? నాకు తెలిసి తప్పవుతుంది. వాట్ ఇస్ ద ప్రాబ్లమ్ హియర్? So let me try to print this value. Let me try to print something like 4 here. So what is 4 factorial? 4 into 3, 12. 12 into 2, 24 into 24 అంతే కదా? యా. ప్రతిసారి ఏమవుతుంది? ఎందుకు అలాగా? While index is less than number, not 5. Yes? Okay. Right. Now let me enter 4. Okay. First it tries to do 1. 1 into 1. 1. Now it becomes 2. So 3. 2 into 3 will give me 6. So if you try to look into result is 6 as of now. Now if you try to see index is 4. Okay. 6 into 4 gives me 24. Now index has become 5. Is 5 less than or equal to number? No, our number is 4. So it will stop. Clear on this, sir? Any problem with this? Okay. ఒక్క ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉంది, మీరు ట్రై చేస్తారా? వద్దా వాళ్ళకి ఇంక చాలు లేండి అంటారా? Shall we try one problem now? Let us try. Okay. So LCM, how many of you remember? Gutunda? Yeah. So how does LCM work out, sir? చూడండి, లీస్ట్ కామన్ మల్టిపుల్. మనకి ఇంత పెద్ద వద్దు, సింపుల్ చేద్దాం. 4, 6. I think you should get 12. Yeah, right. So here he is trying to that if you know GCD, how to calculate greatest common divisor, then you can go with GCD. మనకి అన్ని తెలియదట్లేవు, మనకి రాదు. So how does LCM? What is the concept of LCM? A number which is multiple of both 4 and 6. Okay. Code is not working in the terminal. Okay. Sir, I have said this. If you have something is not working, kindly paste it on Telegram and lab assistants will help you out. Okay. And please get it done. And today is Thursday also. Yeah. Right. Fine then. So a least common number of 4 and 6 will definitely be greater than both of them. Yes or no? ఒప్పుకుంటారా దానికి? LCM of 10 and 20 will definitely be greater than 20. అంతేనా? నా లెక్క కరెక్టేనా? It might not be true, but it is definitely not less than the greatest possibility. So where should I start my program net? Sir, LCM calculate చేస్తాం అంటే ఏంటి? రెండు నెంబర్లతో మల్టిపుల్ అయ్యే నెంబర్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తాం. సో ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇఫ్ ఐ గివ్ సంథింగ్ లైక్ 11 and 13. So least common multiple will definitely be starting from the highest number in these two. Okay, and from there we will increment every number and then we will try to cross check. Okay, so I'll try to check for 13. Is 13 multiple of 11 and 13? No. 14. Is 14 multiple of? Yeah. So దీన్ని ఇంకోలా చెప్దాంలేండి. So LCM of 4 and 6. Okay, right sir. So what is the highest number here? 6. So is 6 multiple of both 4 and 10? 4 and 6? No. So I have to try for a next number. Let us try to see how to do this. Let us try to see what are multiples of 4. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Let me try to write multiples of 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24. Common గా మనకు కనబడుతుందా? పైన 12 ఉంది, కింద 12 ఉంది. That is LCM. Yes. So when I try to do 10 and 20, so we'll start from 10. 10 twos are 20, 30. And whenever we try to write over here 20, 40, is there any common multiple? Yeah. Now let me take a number of 5 and 7. So what are multiples of 5? 5 ones are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 and 40. And whenever you try to look into 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. ఇప్పుడు LCM ఏంటంటారు ఈ రెండిట్లకి? Are you getting the whole point, sir? So LCM is definitely greater than the largest of these two. Okay, right. So let us try to take that logic into consideration, but whatever I'm trying to do is not completely right. Okay, so let me try to take LCM. Okay, so let me try to take, I am asking directly from small number out of these two. Small number is equals to int of input of enter the smaller number here. Okay, okay, small అని కాకుండా మనం దీన్ని ఫస్ట్ అని కాల్ చేద్దాం మన క్యాల్కులేషన్స్. ఓకే, సో సెకండ్ అండర్స్కోర్ నంబర్ is equals to int of input of enter the larger number to calculate LCM. So did we take two inputs, sir? So second number is the largest. Ideally you should not ask this. Out of these two numbers you should figure out what is larger and then start your calculation from there. ప్రస్తుతానికి మనకు అన్ని తెలియజేట్లు లేవు కాబట్టి ఇక్కడితో ఆపేద్దాం. So I am trying, if I take 4 and 6, user has to pass 4 here and 6 here. Our program will not work if, yeah. So for that reason I'll try to tell that if first number is greater than second number. ఇన్ని చెప్పాక కూడా పాపాలు చేస్తాం మనం. So over here rise. Okay, value error, enter valid input. ప్రస్తుతం దాన్ని మర్చిపోండి అదంటే ఏంటో. ఓకే, ఎందుకు రాస్తున్నానంటే ఇలాంటిది ఏదో మనం త్వరలో వాడబోతున్నాం. ఓకే, సో యూ విల్ హ్యావ్ వాల్యూ ఎర్రర్. ఓకే, so what is that? We'll try to worry about it, but this means that you're stopping your program because the input is not correct. Okay, right. Now I'll try to basically start. So where should I start from? I should start from second number. Okay, so while true అంటే ఇదేమవుద్ది? While condition is true, and whatever I write to inside it, it will be continuously running. Okay, so I am creating an infinite loop. Okay, right, that's okay. Now, so let us start from a index. So for us, the index is second number, that is the largest number. So first, let's check if index is divisible by both first and second number. Okay, so then what is that I need to check? If, okay, index percentage first number is equals to 0. So index నేను first number తో divide చేస్తే నాకు remainder 0 వచ్చిందా? And it is not our condition, because if you try to look into this, what was our condition? Here 35 is divisible by 5, and also 35 is divisible by 7. Okay, right. And index percentage second number is equals to 0. So whatever we find is, this is an LCM, right? Now I will try to tell print index, and then I'll try to tell break. Break ante while loop నుండి బయటకు వచ్చేయమని. The break statements means exit out of am I clear on this, sir? Yeah. And then if that is not the case, so then I'll try to tell that index plus equals to, okay, right. Now shall we try this? పని చేద్దంటారా? ఏమో దేవుడి మీద భారం వేసి చేస్తున్నాను నేను. Okay, there is no need for you to worry whether your program works or not, because we have a greatest tool which is debugging. If there is something wrong, we'll stop debugging, correct our logic, and then make it through. Okay, so ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ నేను డైరెక్ట్ గా ఇలా రాస్తున్నాను, కానీ మీరు మాత్రం ఫస్ట్ ఫ్లోరాతో మాట్లాడు. You first speak with Flora and then try to write it out. Okay, I've taken first number, and first number should be the smaller number. Let me start with 4. And I'm trying to take the second number. So I'll try to take the second number, which is 6. First number is not greater than this. So index is equals to second number. So let me start over here. So while true. So now what is the index? Index is 6. 6 is not divisible by first number, because 6% 4 will give me 2. So already false, and anything is false. So it comes over here. Now it becomes 7. 7 తో అసలు 2 అవ్వవు. Then it becomes 8. 8 is divisible by 4 but not by 6. Okay, and then 9. 9 no chance. 10 no chance. 11 no chance. 12, yeah, it is divisible by both 4 and 6. It tries to print that this is an index, and it breaks, and your program stops. Okay, now let me try to run this program with different possibilities. First number is 10, second number is 20. We should get 20. Okay, and now first number is 5, second number is 7. Is it working? Yes. Okay, so I have done LCM, right? So now I want you to calculate GCD. Okay, so what is GCD? Greatest common divisor. Okay, that means a number which is not 1 but still can be divisible by both the numbers. 4 or 6 itte answer GCD is 2, because 2 is the number which divides with 4 also as well as 6. Okay, now let us try to look at GCD calculations. GCD of 2 numbers. Okay, calculator ఉందా? ఈ క్యాలిక్యులేటర్ లేకపోతే మా వల్ల అవదు. Right, GCD calculator. Okay, if you find out GCD or LCM, you can find one another. Okay, right. So let me tell that the numbers which I want to calculate are 5 and 10. Calculate GCD. What is the GCD? 5 and 7. What is the GCD? 1. So it is greatest common divisor, sir. The reverse direction. Okay. So greatest common divisor for the numbers where there is no possibility is 1. Okay. Right. So, and then let me try to give 10 and 20. So what is the number that is multiple of both of them? And it is the largest number. Okay. But if you know LCM, we can easily calculate GCD. So because, okay, if you try to look into this, when you multiply A and B, and if you divide it by LCM of A comma B, that gives you GCD of అలాగే మీకు LCM GCD తెలిస్తే LCM కూడా calculate చేయొచ్చు. So out of this, figure out what is the easier program and you can do this also. I'm okay with anything, right? So if you try to look into what is LCM 5, 7, what is 5 sevens? 35. And what was LCM of 5 and 7? 35. 35 by 35 gives you what? 1. 10, 20. Okay, so 10 into 20. So what was the LCM of 10 and 20? 20. That's the reason GCD becomes 10. You can do this math also. I'm okay with anything. Okay. So ఈ లెక్కలన్నీ ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నారంటే లాజిక్ గురించి. I am not interested in LCM at this moment. Okay. So for the people who are interested, LCM is used to calculate which gear to be applied when you have multiple gears working continuously. Okay. Fine, sir. So can you try GCD? Yes. But did you understand the syntax over here? Why will I try to basically use a loop? Because I want to iterate some state. Okay. Now again, let me try to quickly revisit. This is the last problem, and after that I'll try to stop. So this is Project Euler problem 1. Again, I'm revisiting the same problem. Okay. So what is this problem trying to tell? If you list all the numbers below 10, so I'll try to tell that index is equals to 1, while index is below 10. So below 10 means not equals to, less than 10. And then what does he wants? He wants multiples of 3 or 5. So what is that I'll be trying to write? If index percentage 3 is equals to 0, or end, or, so or index percentage 5 equals to 0. So then we need some result. Here I'm trying to do addition, so that's the reason I'll start with a value of 0. So result plus equals to index. Now I'll be trying to write index plus equals to 1. And then trying to write print of, sorry, index ka the result. So for this we should be getting 23. Now here I'll be trying to change this value from 1 to 1000. Yeah. Now does this whole program make sense? Yeah. So I might have written for loop somewhere else. There is no single way of solving any problem. You can try to express yourself in multiple ways. The point is Python should understand. Nide program indak rasinapudu for int index equal to range of anedi rasin. Okay. But that is something which you have not learned yet. But in the things which you have learned so far, we can do this. Make sense, sir? Yeah. కాకపోతే ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అన్ని నేను చూసి మళ్ళీ మీరు అలాగే టైప్ చేసి రన్ అయితే రన్ అవుతాయి. Don't do that. So don't type the programs as if I am typing over here. Then you are doing typing practice. We want programming practice here. So try to look at this and come up with your own version and try to debug. Even after that, if you are not able to figure out, then try to look at the solution. Because if you try to just look at code, మనకి అమీర్పేటలో చాలా మంది ఉన్నారు పెన్ స్క్రీన్ చూసేవాళ్ళు. ఓకే, మీరు కావాలంటే ఒక 4-5 గంటల తర్వాత ఈ రూమ్కి రండి, అలా పెన్నులు పట్టుకున్న వాళ్ళు చాలా మంది ఉంటారు. ఓకే, డోంట్ డూ pen based code understanding, try to do debug based code understanding, because that is the easiest tool. Okay, and day one I am trying to speak about debugging because that is required. 80% of development is debugging. 80% of developmental work is debugging. So for example, this program probably might not this. If I try to calculate this program, it might fail. Okay, so it might fail in which conditions? So tester will try to give a defect. How will I fix that? I'll pass those values and then work it out. If you remember weird and not weird program, I've written spelling mistakes. Those are all human made mistakes, and those are the things which testers raise and they call it as defects or bugs. And the only way to fix the bug is correct your code. Am I clear on this, sir? Can we do this? Yes. Okay, fine. రెండో ప్రాబ్లం ఏంటి? Fibonacci sequence. ఇది చేద్దామా? Shall we do it or will you try? You will try this? Yeah, give it a try. Okay, so we have spoken with Flora about this already. Okay, but whenever you are trying to write code, have a first version with Flora and then try to convert that into code. Okay, right. So this you give it a try. If it doesn't work out tomorrow, I'll try to write it using while loop, and while is better for this rather than for. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be trying to learn about some other data types. If you try to remember, we know now numeric data types. We know what a string is, and we know what boolean is. Boolean has true or false. So tomorrow we'll be trying to learn about something called as sequence operators in Python. In sequence, we have something like list, tuple, set. Okay, and then we will try to base and dictionary. Okay, so and then we will try to basically start about the sequences and how to iterate the sequences. So we will try to learn about a concept called as iterator. Okay, so once we understand iterators, then we will get into the decent parts of Python. Okay, right, sir? Good. So I think I'll stop it at that. Any doubts in whatever you have discussed today, sir? అసలు సమస్య లేదంటారా? Please share interactive Python notebook notes also. I am doing that, sir. Don't worry about it. Whatever I try to do in the class, generally it will be shared to all of you. That's the whole reason why I do it in this fashion. So notebooks and white. All right, sir. So refer here for some of the right. For the people who are DevOps engineers, probably you might be writing loop, get me all the Git branches, and in that find for every branch which has something like release underscore, then do this activity, or try to find out who is the owner. Then also we'll be trying to use loops. First get all the loops, store it in somewhere, and then iterate through that all the branches. Yeah, there are many cases where you need to do this. Okay, good. And the reason we had to cut down 1 hour of today's classes, yesterday I've reached very late, sir, from out of station, so I couldn't come on 7, but I came at 7:40. Today I was actually early. అప్పుడప్పుడు జరుగుద్ది ఇది. Yeah, but yeah. Your organization is giving vouchers for writing GCP Associate Cloud Engineer exam. Where do you recommend to start? So Dhanush, I'm not sure if you know GCP. All you need to do is if you don't know GCP, don't do this. But if you know GCP Associate Cloud Engineer, yeah, my recommendation will be try to కొనుక్కుంటే మంచిది, లేదు కొనుక్కోవటం ఎందుకు డబ్బులు బొక్క అనుకున్నారు అనుకోండి. So then you try to search internet, you will find some stuff. Go through this book. because certification exams generally means that you need to remember certain things. Okay, so try to go through this book. Am I clear on that, Dhanush? This is where I'll recommend you to start from. If you know GCP, if you don't know GCP, don't directly read this book. It will not help. Yeah, right. Okay. సరిపోదా శనివారం ఎలా ఉందంట? చాలా రోజుల తర్వాత సినిమా చూద్దాం అనిపించింది సార్, అందుకనే అడుగుతున్నా. నేను సీరియస్ గా అడుగుతాను, ఎవరికైనా సినిమా రివ్యూస్ వచ్చినాయా? రాలేదు ఇంకా? వచ్చినాయి, ఎలా ఉందంట? బానే ఉందంట? బాగుందండి. సాటర్డే బాగుంది, అప్పటి వరకు ఆగలేను సార్. నేను చూస్తే రిలీజ్ లో చూస్తలేను, అసలు చూడను. Fine, but today is jam packed. Right. Okay, sir. Notes is uploaded. You can get into directdevops.blog and whatever I've spoken today is basically available over here. Okay, but please ensure that you install those extensions and whenever you try to write the code, because it will help you in writing the decent one. Yeah, right. And ensure that you avoid all the blue ticks. మరి కోడ్ రాసినప్పుడు చాలా బ్లూ టిక్స్ వస్తాయి, అవి ఎలా అవాయిడ్ చేయాలో చూడండి. That will basically make you a better programmer. Yeah, because you are following some conventions. Okay, right, sir. Thank you all.